Alright guys, so we're checking out a new drone here from HISINGY. This is the Sunray, and here's what it looks like. I did a video a while back on the Stargazer, which is this drone here. It's another kind of whoop style drone, and we'll talk about the similarities and differences a little bit later in the video. But in that previous video, the Stargazer video, which comes as a ready to fly kit, as you can see in that box there, all of the same components are compatible with this new drone, and obviously I think this is kind of a little bit more faster, slightly more aggressive drone compared to the Stargazer, so it's kind of a nice, I guess if you've advanced your skills on the Stargazer and want to go to something a little bit more aggressive, then the Sunray is supposed to fulfill that need. But they kind of changed a little bit of how they're selling their components. So the Stargazer came as a ready to fly kit, but as far as I know, the Sunray does not. And you can buy all the components separately. So as you can see here, I have the box for the goggles. This is the box for the Sunray, the drone itself. And then you have the controller, the TX100S, as well as the power combo. Now all of these separate components do come in the Stargazer ready to fly kit, so if you buy that, you just have to, and you want to move up to the Sunray, you just have to buy the drone, and all these components will work with the Sunray. So obviously for some of my regular viewers, if you already know how to fly FPV, this kit is not for you. This is for someone who is starting out and has no equipment, and they're kind of maybe not looking for the traditional FPV experience where they're building their own drone, configuring everything, watching hundreds of hours of YouTube videos to get started. Maybe this is probably going to be for someone that is looking to avoid all that, just getting up in the air, just kind of have the experience of flying with a lot less hassle, and maybe also saving quite a bit of time. Also, this company HISINGY and their products, as you can see, very colorful, cartoony, kind of reminds you of anime. I mean, just for example, the stuff that comes with the Sunray kit here, you get all these kind of interesting things, like you get these QR codes to add the drone. I'll talk about that here in a second. You get these little kind of plastic trinkets. The quick start guide here is pretty straightforward, and it's well documented, so it's not difficult to understand. You get a bunch of stickers, you get a sort of a journey starts here, and you can see there's a kind of a story behind everything. And I did talk about all this stuff in the previous video on the Stargazer, so I'm going to link that in the video description because I'm not going to recover all that stuff again. But the bottom line is their goal is to sort of get people started in FPV in a fun way. There's kind of a gaming aspect where you collect stuff, points. As you fly more and you gain more experience, you get more points. It can unlock additional features in the drone with using an app. And, again, I talk about all that stuff in the previous video regards to how to use the app. I believe you don't need the app to actually get this to fly. However, if you want to unlock additional features like manual mode, for example, then you do need to use the app to sort of gradually add points as you fly and experience, and then you can unlock those features in the app. And again, here is the goggle. This is the goggle that comes in the smaller box here, the ARX500. It's the same one that comes in the ready to fly kit. I did talk about this in the previous video regarding, who it's going to be for. I think people like me that are older, they're going to probably want to remove this lens here because it does make things blurry. I did talk about that in the previous video. There's no DVR recording function on this one out of the box, although you can add a module to record your flights. So I'm going to be recording my flights on my Fat Shark, or not my Fat Shark, my Sky Zone goggles. These goggles are actually manufactured by Fat Shark, from my understanding. It's a very high quality goggle. The screen is very nice. It's overall a good product. So if you're wondering about the goggle, it should work for to most analog video transmitters. And here's another look at the controller. Again, I talked about all of this stuff in the previous video. Does have USB-C charging, and then all these components use 18650 lithium ion cells. kind of a typical gaming style controller and has a centering throttle because the drone does maintain its own altitude with some sensors, and that is one of the things that beginners have the most difficulty with, is managing their altitude, and this one will do that for you when you get started out of the box. Here's the power combo. You have this charging base via USB-C, so you just use a USB-C charger, and this is what the batteries look like, and they just kind of just pop into here. The light will turn white when it's charging, and they'll turn blue when it's done. And again, these use the same batteries that the Stargazer used, so it goes in the bottom of the tray like that, and it just slides in like so, and then you snap it in and it'll turn on the drone. So if you bought the Ray to Fly kit, or if you bought these components separately, if you just want to go straight to the Sunray, you will need to bind this with the controller, and then obviously get the video to work with the goggles. Then you have to, there's a bind button inside here. You have to hold that while powering it on, so we'll just go ahead and do that. Alright, so first thing you gotta do is you gotta kind of get this prop guard off here. There's a little clip right here that kind of gets into this area where these motor plugs are, so you have to be a little bit careful, and you can kind of pull this off. Okay, so once you've got the prop guard off of the top of here, it'll expose the bind button, which is right here, and I want to be careful that you don't disconnect the camera cable here, otherwise you'll get no video. That's the camera right there. Kind of set that to the side. You're going to first power up the drone. All you have to do is just push in the battery there, and you get the startup tones. You're going to press and hold the bind button for 3 seconds, and then this LED will start flashing multiple colors quickly. Hold that down. All right, there we go. Multiple flashing colors. Now we got to put the transmitter into bind mode. So we're going to long press this big purple button here and then power it on. There we go. Binds up right away, and this transmitter actually vibrates, so gives you an indication that it's actually been bound. And now we have a solid blue light here on the drone. Do a quick arming test using the engine start button. You just press that, it'll spin up the props, and then you can disarm by pressing it again. So let's go do a quick demonstration. There we go. And press it again and it'll disarm.
Later.
Alright, so now that I've flown the Sunray for a little bit, I just want to kind of explain a little bit of the differences between the Stargazer and the Sunray. So I think the first one that's kind of obvious is that the camera is further back, and so in your goggle feed in the video, you see more of the drone in the bottom part of the video, and I guess that kind of enhances sort of the video game effect. Whereas with the camera kind of in the front here, you don't see as much of the drone, so it doesn't have that sort of feel like you're actually like a pilot in a cockpit or something like that. So this kind of gives you that feel that you're inside of a craft or something like that. So for those of you that are kind of going for this sort of video game immersion type effect, I think this is what this is kind of for. Now, in terms of the electronics and the parts and stuff, slightly different motors. There's like a sort of wider, bigger motor here on this Sunray, but they're using a 2-bladed prop versus a little bit smaller, taller motor, but a 3-bladed prop on the Stargazer. In terms of how it feels in flight, not much difference. These are both tuned to be for starters, for beginners, and so they're very low rates, very kind of they don't get out of control very easily, and so you can sort of bang the sticks around on the controller like a lot of beginners would do, and it doesn't really react very quickly. So that's one. It also could be an issue if you're flying this outside. So, for example, in this sample footage I'm showing here, I'm flying outside. It's a little bit windy, but in the beginner mode when you're first starting out, which you don't have to connect to the app, it's going to be, the rates are going to be very slow. So even though you push on the sticks, it doesn't really angle the craft very much forward, so it doesn't go very fast at all. So if you're going to be flying this in the first few levels, I would say fly in a sort of a larger indoor area and with no wind. And then as you advance, and obviously as you use the app, and you unlock additional, I guess, levels on this drone, what it will do is it'll allow you to increase the rates. So instead of it only being able to tilt maybe this much in level 1, you'll maybe be able to go to like all the way to like this level in the top level. And that's where you get that I guess 7 meters per second speed, which is pretty fast. I think it's definitely going to be faster than the Stargazer. So if you are going to want to fly this outside, I would fly it indoors first. Go through the their little routine with the app and advance your levels and get points and all that kind of stuff, and then unlock additional higher rates on this drone, and then you'll be able to fly faster outdoors. That's my recommendation on this one. But again, as I said, this is not for your sort of like your regular FPV hobbyist, that wants to do beta flight and watch lots of hours of videos. This is kind of a closed ecosystem here. So, if you're worried about parts, they have plenty of parts here. For example, the prop guards, if you break those, which will probably happen if you crash. They have tons of replacement parts. The motors are on plugs. You can do pretty much any kind of repair, replace the props, motors, standard stuff, camera, prop guards. Even though this is all plastic, a lot of the replacement parts are readily available, and they have videos on how to do all your repairs and everything. As I said in the manual, quick start guide, there's all these different QR codes to videos. They have tons of that stuff on their websites, which I'm not going to regurgitate here. When you get this product, they have plenty of video help available through their QR codes and in the manual. So overall, again, it's a closed ecosystem. You're going to basically be living with this stuff here, but you're not going to be advancing to sort of the hobby grain drones. But if you just want to get in the air, this is going to be good for people that don't really care about all the intricacies of FPV. They just want to fly, and probably for kids, that are interested in sort of the video game aspect, collecting achievements, that kind of thing. This is going to be definitely for those type of folks that aren't interested in all these sort of like build your own type of drone type things that the normal FPV hobby is into. So that's going to cover this video. Links to this all down in the video description, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.